Along with that phrasing of menu, selecting the menu choice, navigating menu, graphical user, and kinds of menus. Coming to the structure of menus, so we have different categories. So usually menu will vary from simple to very complex things. Or we can have a small tile box which is requesting the user to choose between one or two alternative. Or we can design a tree, hierarchical tree with many branches that depend upon the level of depth. So the most common structures of menus are: first is single menu, sequential linear menus, next is simultaneous menus, hierarchical or sequential menu, connected menus, and event trapping menus. Okay, so we will see next the different categories one by one. So first we will start single menu. Okay, so the next thing is single menu. So it is a simplest form of menu, which is, so you can see an example choice 1 and choice 2 and choice 3. Okay, single screen are the window which is presented to see the user input or the request an action needs to be performed. A single menu may be iterative if it requires the data to be entered into it, and this data input is subjected to a validity check that fails. So the menu will then be presented to the user with the message requesting re-entry of valid data. Okay, so best example is internet. So at any point of the time, it may ask whether you want to stay connected or disconnect. Next is sequential menu. So sequential menu, this is an example. It's a menu that are presented as a series of screens processing only one path. So the menu screens are presented in a preset order, and generally their objective is for specifying parameters or entering the data. So sequential path menu have several shortcomings. So the long sequence may become tedious as the menu after menu is presented. Next category is simultaneous menu. So instead of presenting the separate screens, all the menu options are available simultaneously. You can see in this example, alternative 1, 2, 3, 4, all we are going to display in one screen. So the problem with the simultaneous menu are that for a large collection of the menu alternative, screen clusters can easily occur, and screen paging or scrolling may still be necessary to view all choices. So presenting many menu dependencies and the relationship on the screen, especially if poorly indicated, can also be very confusing. So next part is called hierarchical menu. So hierarchical structure results in an increased refinement of the choices as menus are stepped through. For example, from the option to sub-option, and from the category to subcategory, from the pages to the sections, and then to the subsection, and so on. So common examples of hierarchical design today are found in menu bars with their associated pull down structures. So usually hierarchical structures can best be represented as the inverse tree, leading to more and more branches as one moves downward through it. So the main disadvantages of hierarchical scheme is that the defined branch order may not fit the user conceptions of the task flow. If the user are not familiar with the hierarchical menu, are unable to predict what sub-option lie below a particular choice, they may go down wrong path and find it necessary to go back up the tree to change the choice, or perhaps even return to the top level menu. So next part is called connected menu. So connected menus are the networks of menus all interconnected in some manner. So the movement through the structure of menus is not restricted to a hierarchical tree, but is permitted between most or all menus in the network. So the connected menu systems may be cyclical with the movement permitted in either direction between the menu, or it may be acyclic with the movement permitted in only one direction. So these menus also vary in connectivity, the extent to which the menus are linked by the multiple paths. The biggest advantages of connected menu network is that it gives the user full control over the navigational flow. So main disadvantages is its complexity. So we can see here the connected menus. Menu 1 is connected interconnected with the 2, 3 and 4, 5, all those things we have shown with the matrix type. Next is event wrapping menus. In the event wrapping menus, which provides the event present background of the control over the functions. We'll switch on to the functions of menu. Menu can be used to perform several functions, that is to navigate to a new menu, to execute an action or a procedure, to display information, or to input the data and parameters. So this mainly we are going to categorize. First is navigation, then is execute, displaying and data input. We'll see one by one. Navigation to a new menu. So each user selection which causes another menu in a hierarchical menu tree to be displayed. The purpose of each selection is to steer the user towards an objective or the goal. Selection error may lead the user down wrong the path and cause time, perhaps aggravation, but these errors are non-destructive and usually unavoidable. So execute an action or the procedure, that is a second function. So user select direct the computer to implement the action or perform the procedure. So the action may be something like opening or closing a file, copying a text, sending a message. So accidental selection of critical irreversible action must be prevented in interface design. Next is displaying information. So the main purpose of selecting a menu choice may simply be to display the information. So the user may be searching for specific information in a database or browsing the web. So the content material or the user's interest will determine the path followed. So the user's focus is primarily on information desired and less on the selection function. Next, last is data or parameter input. So each selection specifies a piece of input data for the system or provide the parameter value. Data or value may be an input on a single menu or spread over the hierarchical menus. This is about the functions of menus.